Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, Deb has a special guest, John Musgrave, a proud Marine and one of the speakers at the traveling Vietnam Wall exhibit recently hosted at the Museum of the Kansas National Guard. We hear "never leave a man behind" in the movies, but John brings that saying to life in his powerful interview. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Around Kansas, brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Welcome to Around Kansas. We're here at the Museum of the Kansas National Guard, where we've just heard a really incredible talk by John Musgrave. And John, proud Marine. And John, I'm proud to be sitting here with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so you are here. The Vietnam Wall is here. The Traveling Wall exhibit is here at the Kansas National Guard Museum. And so what does it mean to you as a Vietnam vet to come to this memorial?
It's like visiting a family plot. There are 22 names on the wall that I know, and countless others that I only knew them by their nickname. But I've got, every one of them was a brother, and that makes the family, and they were all an inspiration to me.
Now, you enlisted in the Marines?
Yes, ma'am. 17 years old.
So why did you enlist?
I love my country, and I had grown up, in my generation there was a draft. So being male, you had to think about the military from the time you're old enough to know what a duty and obligation meant. So we thought about it, and the only choice we really had was to choose a branch or wait to be drafted into the Army. And all I knew was I wanted to be a Marine more than I'd ever wanted anything in my life.
So what you said earlier about going to the recruiter at 13, is that true?
That's very true, yes.
So you went to the recruiter at 13, and thankfully he said no.
Yes, but they got to know me real well because I was up there every other weekend or so begging for a new copy of Leatherneck magazine and asking them to tell me stories and asking them if they'd let me lie this week and join. And one day when I was 17, I walked in, and Gunnery Sergeant Hartman was tired of listening to me and just talk about it. And he says, "Well, you're 17, right?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he says, "You ready to sign up?" And I went, gulp. And then I thought, there's just that half beat. And I said, "Yeah, Gunny, I am. I'm ready."
Now, you grew up between Missouri and Kansas, basically.
Yes,
so tell us about the little towns that you came from.
Well, in Missouri, I lived in Sugar Creek, Missouri, which is outside of Independence.
Mm-hmm.
But every summer of my life was in Paradise, Kansas, which is in Russell County, and it's a little teeny town, but it was a wonderful place to be a kid. And I had a magnificently beautiful extended family, wonderful uncle and aunts, and great cousins, just a whole brood of cousins. We were the baby boomers. And all my uncles were World War II and Korean vets.
And then after the military, after you got out, you pick another small Kansas town.
Yes, ma'am. I ended up in Baldwin City. I went there to go to college at Baker University.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Now is the best time of the year to fertilize your lawns. The best product for our area is Fertilome Lawn Food Plus Iron. With its blend of fast and slower release nitrogen and a complete formula of minor nutrients, Fertilome Lawn Food Plus Iron provides your lawn with nutrients for the darkest green lawn in your neighborhood.
Bring in a soil sample from your lawn for a free pH test. Get your soil recommendations from the experts at Jackson.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We're having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
I want to ask you again. Your speech was so powerful tonight because it was just every word heartfelt and true. Why do you do this?
I survived. And I've got to do the job that my buddies would have done. I feel like they stand behind me every time I get up in front of a group. And I don't have the right to stay at home and hide. For one thing, I'm a citizen in the United States of America, and as a citizen, I've got a tremendous set of responsibilities. We often call them our rights. They're not rights, they're duties and responsibilities. And if we don't participate, it's called participatory democracy. But if you don't participate, it's not a democracy. I'm driving an old Buick out there. I can call that a Corvette all I want. But it's not. It's an old Buick. And we can call this a democracy all we want. But if we're not out there fulfilling our duties as a citizen in a participatory democracy, then it's not a democracy. It's just the way I feel.
You weren't old enough to vote before you went into the service?
I wasn't old enough to vote when I got out of the service.
Because it was 21?
Yes, ma'am. I was a combat veteran, and I was a non-commissioned officer in the United States Marine Corps, but according to my country, I wasn't worthy to be trusted with a beer or the right to vote.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need. Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
When you were wounded the first time, how serious was that one?
It wasn't. Fortunately, I stayed in the field with my buddies, and a hand grenade landed in front of me, and it was a concussion grenade. I never even heard it go off. I just woke up, and Doc Shade had come out and got me and dragged me into a hole and was leaning over me, and I was really scared. But Doc Shade had me, and I knew if Doc was there, I was okay.
Now, then what happened the second time?
Shrapnel from a rocket propelled grenade, and patched up and came back.
So was that just a field hospital then that you went to, or?
Yeah, what we call BAS, Battalion 8 Station.
And then the third time, what do you remember that?
Yes,
I
sure do. We were caught in a horseshoe ambush. I was probably one of the first 10 people to be shot. First round, I assume, was a ricochet. It hit me in the chin. Again, I didn't feel it, didn't know it. I was trying to kill the guy, and when I opened my eyes, I was lying on my face, and my hand was up under my head like this, and there was blood pouring down my forearm, and I felt like the side of my face was gone, and I was scared. And my buddies started yelling to me, and the gunner that shot me had been fighting Marines for a long time. He knew Marines don't leave their wounded, and that's when I became his bait. And my first buddy came up to me. The gunner wasn't any farther away than the edge of that table. And he leaned down over me and slipped his hands up under my shoulders and lifted me up. And when he did, the gunner fired a burst into the left side of my chest, which tore me out of my buddy's arms, and then he killed him. When we say Marines never leave their wounded, it's not propaganda. We never leave our wounded. And twice, my future was purchased with the valor of fellow Marines. Doc Shade was a Navy corpsman. He was the best Marine in our platoon as far as I was concerned.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Was this day or night, this third time?
It was in the morning. 7th of November, I don't know what day of the week it was, just south of the DMZ, northwest of a place called Contien.
And what were you guys doing?
We were in a company-size sweep. It was the first combat action outside of the wire during the siege of Contien that lasted through September and October. And they finally decided that we had to go out and be aggressive. We'd been surrounded by 30,000 North Vietnamese soldiers. And we had a new lieutenant and a new captain, and the North Vietnamese baited the trap with 3 of their men showing themselves, and those of us who'd been in country for quite a while begged our lieutenant, don't do this, don't follow him. This is as old as Custer. But our new captain wanted the bodies because victory wasn't real estate. But war is a real estate business. But in Vietnam, they twisted it all up, and it was all about body count. We call it stacking meat. And he said, go get me their bodies. And the lieutenant was a wonderful guy. I liked him a lot, but he was he just got there.
Right.
And we pursued the North Vietnamese, and myself and some of the other guys in the platoon that had been in country a long time, we fixed our bayonets. We knew it was going to be bad. And they maneuvered us. We were a flank platoon, and they maneuvered us off the flank to where we couldn't be supported by the other 2 platoons, popped the ambush, and tore us up.
What did this look like? Are you in grass? Are you in jungle?
Jungle. We went from going through hedgerows and in a cleared area where we could see them, and that's when they started showing themselves.
Right.
But by the time they popped the ambush, we were in jungle.
So how many guys are with you at that point?
I think we might have had 30 people by then. That was probably the biggest platoon we'd ever had. And that's not a full TO infantry platoon, but we had a lot of casualties. And it was not a good day for 3rd Platoon.
So what was the result of that fight that day?
3rd Platoon was destroyed. I don't know how high the casualties were. I only know of the 2 men that were dragging me out, and the 2 men that were dragging my grenadier, Leonard Blair, from Oklahoma City. Outstanding Marine. He was the first one shot that popped the ambush. So I only know about the 6 of us. I'm sure that there were other guys that got out, but I don't know.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
So after you were wounded there, where were you taken?
I was flown to Delta Med at Dong Ha, and they triaged me, which they looked at me, and I'm conscious, but I've got a hole through my chest big enough you could stick your fist through me and out my back. And the surgeon came up to me and he looked at the corpsman. He says, "I can't do anything for this man." And then he looked at me and saw I was conscious and said, "What's your religion?" And I told him, and he said, "Get a chaplain over here." And he took off. And then I knew I was going to die from the moment I was shot. But, each time I get a little boost, when they got me back to the company, I got a little, well, maybe I'll make it. But then the senior corpsman for the company said, "I can't do anything for this guy." And then the medevac bird came in. They shot the hell out of that bird, but those were Marines, and they came in to get us, and they threw me on the bird, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll make it. And the medevac corpsman stood over me, spraddle-legged, and looked down at me, and he looked at the hole in my chest, and he looked up at the crew chief and went like that, and they shoved me under the portside gunner's feet. And then I knew, well, okay, I'd lasted a long time praying for my folks, and so I felt good about that. And then we got to Dong Ha, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to make it. And then he said that, and then I went, oh, okay. I'd seen guys wounded like I was. They didn't make it. But I got the chaplain bending over me, praying for me, and I'm seeing my buddies come in. I'm lucky. I've got my stretchers on a sawhorse, and there were guys laying on the deck. They were just bringing in a chopper full of wounded Marines, chopper after chopper after chopper. And I remember the corpsman slipping on the deck. There was so much blood. And looking around and seeing other of my buddies that were being brought in from other platoons. And a red-headed guy walked in my line of vision, and I was always raised to be a gentleman, and you always acknowledge someone. And as he came by, I was at perfect peace. I smiled at him and nodded. And he stopped. I didn't know he was a doctor, but he stopped and he said, "Why isn't somebody helping this man?" And I went, "Yeah, why isn't somebody helping this man?" And then I didn't think I had any screams left in me, but he had to do something to me to keep me alive a little longer, and I found out I had one more scream stored up way down in the bottom of my feet because it came up. See, when your chest shot, you can't have any pain medication at all because it restricts your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did for me and Leonard Blair, my grenadier, he'd been shot in the right side of the chest. A C-130 aircraft is a 4-engine airplane. It's a big airplane. That doctor got a C-130 for just Leonard Blair and me. And they put us on that airplane with corpsmen who all their job was to keep changing out our blood bags because as quick as they'd pump it into us, it was pumping right back out. They flew us from Dong Ha to Phu Bai, which is where Alpha Med Battalion was, but they had, I can't remember what they're called, they're surgeons that specialize in working on chest.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 specialists there waiting for Leonard and myself, and I was lucky. One of the guys that came, of all these thousands of Marines that are there, one of the guys that came in and grabbed my stretcher I'd been with since boot camp and was one of my oldest friends, Pat Van Buren. And when they put me under, I told him goodbye and to write my folks and let them know that I was okay with it. I was okay with dying because I knew I was going to die. And then I came to in intensive care. And I don't think anybody was any more surprised than I was. I felt really good about it.
So were you 18 or 19?
I was 19 by then. I'd been in country 11 months and 17 days. So in our unit, we said, I don't know if I mentioned this, but 1st Battalion, 9th Marines in Vietnam suffered the highest casualties of any Marine infantry battalion in the history of the Marine Corps. More than World War I, World War II, more than Korea. They bled us white. And our slogan was, "You're never short, you're always next."
Wow.
And that was usually the case.
I just don't know what to say.
I'm the luckiest man I ever knew, and I'm lucky because of my buddies. Because they never let anything stop them from getting to me. As they drugged me away and the North Vietnamese were pursuing us, they would drop me and cover my body with theirs, fire back at the NVA, and then get up and grab me and drag me a little farther. And I was telling them to leave me because I didn't want anybody else to get killed because of me. And they wouldn't do it. That's why my 2 sons are named after those 2 guys.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome to Kansas, gate to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's